Hi, everybody. My name is Ruham Manzoor, and I'm the managing partner of Maces. I'm really excited today to have with us Charlotte from Into London. I don't know if anybody knows, but Into has been, I think we've been in partnership for more than 12 years now. Almost since the beginning, not at the beginning, but almost since the beginning, we've been working together, and we have helped change the lives of so many students. Through their foundation program, Into students have progressed onto some of the best universities, and they have gone on to do masters, PhDs. They have become successful business people, and we're in touch with a lot of them. So Into has contributed a lot to our students, and I'm so grateful to Into for creating this. In fact, Into has more than 20 centers across UK and US, and China as well, I guess. And they work with some of the top universities. Into London is slightly different in the way that it's located in the hub, in the center of London, and it provides pathways not specifically to one single university, but to a plethora of universities. So, they more than 100 universities. So students can progress into these universities, provided they meet the requirements during the foundation. And the other great thing about Into is that they have, the entry requirements. It's quite flexible. So students from different academic backgrounds and different levels can get in, and then Into will help nurture them in a way that they're at the same level required to get into those universities. So that has been been the difference that our students have faced. If I give the whole presentation, then I guess Charlotte is just sitting there. So I'm so excited, Charlotte. You can tell, right? So
that was the perfect summary of Into London, actually. So
I feel like I work for Into, because it has been 11 years that I've been doing this. So with Into, basically. So without any further ado, Charlotte, tell us about yourself. Like, what are you doing at Into? What's the whole tell us what you're going to cover, and where are you from? A little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you for the lovely introduction, Roham, and I am very, very excited to be joining today. I think it was 2019 in July or August. I was in Bangladesh. I came to Dhaka, and I have not been able to come back since as a result of the pandemic, but maybe 2021, 2022, who knows?
Fingers crossed.
My name's Charlotte. I work for Into London World Education Centre, and I head up the student recruitment and marketing team there. I've been based at the centre for over 3 years now, but I've actually worked for Into since I graduated from university. So it's been 6 coming up on 7 years now. So I've had various roles. I started off as an intern. I worked for the team out in China for just over 2 years, and then I came back to the UK. So of course I'm based in London, but I'm not actually from London. I was born in Manchester, so I'm northern, but living in London. That's about me really, and who I am and what I do at the Into Centre.
That's great, because Into has so many centers. It's like working for their own United Nations, because there are so many different centers with so many different needs, and basically in your role, of course, you speak with students from all over the world. So I think there's a lot to learn from you in terms of cultural intelligence, I would think, because you're used to dealing with so many different cultures, right?
Our students come from literally all over the world. I get to travel out to some of those countries and meet them in their home country, or we meet them when they travel to London and start studying with us.
And the beauty of that is they're students, because they interact with students from all over the world. They also gain that experience, that multicultural experience. Charlotte, this is great. What we're going to do is maybe you can give us a presentation of the Into centers, what are the key points, and then we can ask or get into questions.
Sure, sounds perfect. So let me just share my screen.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you once again, Roham, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you and for anybody watching why Into London is such a fantastic place for students to study, and how we really help and support students to be able to, you know, fulfill their potential and progress onto their best fit university. And that leads me nicely to start off onto our student success at Into London. As you said, we work with lots of universities throughout the UK, so over 110, which means, of course, students then have access to thousands of, they progress to one of thousands of degrees. And of course, our placement team based at the centre is there to help them and to guide them. So if we go right back to the beginning in 2013, when the centre opened, as you can see, our students have received offers from a very wide range of universities, whether that's London-based, Russell Group, top 100 in the world ranked, or those modern-based universities that offer a more niche, a more specialist programs, and that hands-on and more practical experience. So no matter what type of university you want to progress onto, Into London can help you and support you to do that. And these are just some of the universities that our students have progressed onto or have received offers from Into London. So you've got some very popular names there: King's College London, Queen Mary, Royal Holloway, Goldsmiths, the University of the Arts London. But as you said earlier, Roham, that students, they don't have to stay in London because we work with so many universities. Students can actually progress onto universities all throughout the UK, whether they're looking for a big city, Birmingham, Newcastle, or whether they're looking for a slightly smaller place to study, for example, somewhere like York or Exeter. So that's our student success from day one since we opened. And I also wanted to share with you our student success from the previous cohort from 2019, who just progressed to university in September last year. They have done fantastically. And to put this into context, these were the students who were in the UK in March when the pandemic became much worse in the UK and we went into our first lockdown. They had to adapt very quickly to online learning. Of course, they were nervous, they were worried, they weren't expecting this, they didn't know how to react, but still 92% of students passed the program with us. They received offers from 76 universities throughout the UK, and the highest grade achieved was 83%. So students really did perform well despite the pandemic. And these are actually where our best performing students by program ended up progressing to. So the student who achieved the highest grade across all programs came from Singapore and progressed to a degree in speech and language science. These types of degrees tend to be very competitive and have a very high English language requirement. And the student on the engineering stream of our Science and Engineering Foundation progressed to Birmingham with 79%. And then if you look at our social science and media and our art and design foundation, the best performing students there progressed to Royal Holloway and UAL, both in London, respectively. And then if we take a look at our best performing business students from our foundation, this student progressed to UEA. From our international year one to Westminster, and finally through our pre-masters program, a student who achieved a distinction progressed to the Russell Group Queen's University Belfast for international marketing. And I think what's very interesting here, this is a very wide range, a mix of universities. You've got the extremely high ranked, the Russell Groups, you've got the London-based, and you also have those universities that offer more specialized programs, which is great. Then to drill down even further, of course, I wanted to share with you our students from Bangladesh, how successful they were with us when they studied last year. So the pass rate was 100%, which is fantastic. You can't get any better than everybody passing. And the highest grade achieved from a student from Bangladesh was 69%. And they chose to progress to the University of Westminster, so to stay in London and to study business management. And over the past 3 years, these are just some of the universities and majors that students from Bangladesh have come to study with us, or they've come to progress onto after studying with us, I should say. So we've had art students progress to UAL and to Ravensbourne, students staying in London, going to Queen Mary, to Westminster, City, Greenwich, and then students choosing other universities in other parts of the UK as well. So we have very successful students from Bangladesh. Now, the reason why I wanted to show you the student success first is because I think...
Charlotte, I want to interrupt you here.
Of course, yeah.
I can see only Into London Education Centre, so maybe you're talking about a different slide. The slide is not going down.
Oh, really?
Can you see the same thing? Yeah.
Can you see it now?
I'm seeing like the Into London, perhaps... there we go. Now we can see it. Where do our students from Bangladesh progress to? Now
Okay.
that slide is moved, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So maybe you can press the play button, then you can see that screen, and then you will be able to, from current, yeah.
Does that work?
So you press the button on your screen. What do you see? Like, do you see the whole slideshow?
Yeah, I can see the whole slideshow.
Oh, I think there has been a delay. You know how these things always happen. So we'll take it from there. The screen we see is we have the little thumbnails on the left, and then 100%, 69% Westminster. That's what we are seeing.
Okay, maybe I'll keep the screen like this then. And then
that sounds good.
We can make sure. Yeah. So sorry about that you weren't able to see that. So yeah, as I was saying, these are some of the universities that our students from Bangladesh were able to progress onto after they finished studying with us. And the reason I wanted to share the student success with you first is because I then thought that links in nicely as to how we help students to become so successful and to progress onto such fantastic universities. And I believe that's through our programs, the way we teach, the way the programs are structured, and also through the support that we offer at Into London to all of our students. So if we look at the programs we offer, I'm not going to talk through every single one today, but we offer pathway programs across all levels and business across all levels. And then for our foundation, on top of business, we also offer science and engineering, social science and media, and art and design. Now, as I said, I believe that the structure of the program is what makes us stand out and what helps students of all levels be able to be successful while studying with us. So if you look at the structure of our foundation program, all students will study the core modules, the study skills, and then academic English and optional modules. And the amount they study of those depends on their English level when they start studying with us. So for example, if a student chose to study our business management and law foundation, they would study the core modules, business, law, and economics. Study skills module would be critical thinking and communication skills, and then academic English and one or more of those optional modules. Now, how do we decide how many modules of English and optional modules students will study? As I said, it depends on their English level. So if a student is coming to us with a lower level of English between 4.5 and 5.5, they would study English throughout the whole program. But for students coming to us with higher levels of English, they would study 1 or 2 terms of English, and then for the remaining terms, choose their optional academic modules. And what that means is that students with a lower level of English are able to get their score up to the requirement for progression to university, but also for those students who have a higher level to actually be able to explore other academic areas of interest that they might have. So that's the structure of the foundation program, which does allow us to actually accept students from a very wide range of backgrounds, as Rohan said earlier. And this contrasts a lot to our international year 1 program, where students would actually progress to the 2nd year of university. Now, as you can see on the international year 1 program, all of the credit-bearing modules are academic. So all 8 of the modules that students receive credit for are academic, and they would study English, but this would be non-credit bearing. And the reason the course is structured like this compared to the foundation program is that it's supposed to mirror the 1st year of university study, which means students then find it much easier to successfully progress onto university, the 2nd year of university. And of course, in normal times, when we're not all going through a global pandemic, we take students on trips and excursions so that they actually get to learn outside of the classroom and explore London. So of course, for our art students, there are many trips to galleries and to museums. For our business students, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, they took part in the London Met Uni Big Idea Business Challenge, and they actually went into the final, which was excellent. Students on our science program are able to use university laboratories. And then you can see here in the top right-hand corner, students who study our law module, we actually take them to one of the oldest criminal courts in London, the Old Bailey, and they get to watch part of a court case live, which is a very exciting experience for students, as I think, in a lot of countries, you're not able to, go in and view a court case live. So it does give students the chance to see what it might be like if they decided to become a lawyer, which is great. So all of this really kind of contributes and sets students up academically to be successful. And in terms of the grades we're looking for, the cost and of course the scholarship, we are, as Raham said earlier, very flexible in terms of what we can accept. So A levels and E, IB 20 points, GCSE 4Ds, and then of course we accept the local Bangladesh high school, the HSC, year 11 and year 12. So we can help and support those students who have not performed as well with their previous high school study, but of course we also every year have many students with high grades, A stars, A, Bs come to study with us. The tuition fee is just under £19,000 per year. In terms of scholarships, we offer some regional scholarships, but we also offer some centre scholarships, academic scholarships and student engagement scholarships, which could be up to 30% of tuition fees, but the usual award is normally between £2,000 and £3,000. And another reason why our students are so successful and can progress onto so many great universities is the support that we offer them. The first type of support would be our university placement support. So we have a team within Centre whose job it is to help and guide students through the whole university application process. So we do that through one-to-one meetings with students, but also weekly group sessions. And here you can see the schedule of our foundation students who started in January. You can see they have 2 one-to-one sessions planned out, and there's also the option for a third, depending on where they are up to with their applications. And then you can see every week we have a very well-organised plan for weekly sessions to get students through that application process and submitting their applications on time. And as part of this, we do also arrange a virtual university fair. Normally it would be in person in London, in a location close to the centre, but obviously with the pandemic, that wasn't possible. So we invited a whole range of universities, as you can see. And it was great because each university held a 20-minute talk for students to attend, and then they could also book in one-to-one chats with universities. So students could have their specific questions answered and find out about their own circumstances. And in addition to what we offer face-to-face, online, but face-to-face, we also have lots of online resources for students to support them with their university applications. So here you can see a screen record I did of Brightspace, which is our virtual learning environment. And on here, students have access to all recordings of sessions that we have hosted. There's articles and tips and tricks with videos to help them with their research and narrowing down their options of university. So there's plenty of support online in that space as well. Before I finally go on to talk about our specific location in London, I also thought it's quite important to share the other ways that we help and support students, especially during the pandemic. I know safety and security, especially from parents' point of view, is extremely important. Of course, our centre is shut for teaching at the moment. Hopefully, within April, we will be able to open for some face-to-face teaching. But we're, of course, we're waiting to see what the government says. But when we were teaching face-to-face, these were some of the measures that we had in place for students to protect them. So screens, masks, cleaning stations, just to ensure that the environment was safe and secure for them. And with obviously teaching and support now going online, we've had to, of course, introduce other ways to help us to support students remotely. So we have a virtual welcome desk. Our student services team call all of our students who are currently in London to check on their welfare. And students also have weekly personal tutorial sessions. So in addition to their classes, they have lots of other contact time with support staff as well. And of course, I know this was a question asked to me by all students when they started last year in September and this year in January, is how are we going to make friends? Obviously, they're not meeting in the centre, they're not seeing each other face to face. So what are we doing to engage students and to help them to meet their classmates and make friends? So we have regular social activities, which are of course hosted online. So these would be movie nights, for example. And as students are all working on their assignments at the moment, we are hosting every week Mindful Monday with specific challenges for students to meet, just to help them to have some chance to unwind and be able to, do that self-care whilst they are still studying.
Oh,
and there
great.
We go.
Very compact and well placed. Thank you so much, Charlotte. You covered a lot of important points. And the one thing, of course, I know that and I see already is going to come up is the scholarships and all that. So just to summarize, the tuition fee is £18,995, yeah. And there are scholarships of up to 30% available. Now, in terms of your scholarships, are they merit-based, or like how does one go about getting those scholarships?
So we have scholarships which from our regional team that look after South Asia. So you would be able to kind of get in touch with them, are those scholarships. But we have some in-house scholarships as well that are those 30%, up to 30%, I should say, awards. So the first one, it would be an academic scholarship. So it would be based on students' grades. So we would, of course, be looking for A's with maybe some B's, those types of grades. We have a student engagement scholarship. So this is not merit-based. This would actually be for a student who wants to become an ambassador for the centre, whether they want to, for example, help my team with marketing or to start their own club or promote their country whilst they're in the centre. So they would have to write a short personal statement, maybe 200 to 250 words on what they want to do. And the last scholarship is our Art and Design Portfolio Scholarship. So actually, if you want to study our Art and Design Foundation, you don't need a portfolio to be accepted. But if you do have a portfolio, you are able to use that to apply for a scholarship. And we ask, the minimum would be 3 pieces of work. But of course, if you're looking for a higher award, we do want to see more than that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, one thing people need to realize is, number one, Into is a very different product. I mean, it is £19,000 is expensive. There are other foundation programs or international year one programs which are significantly lower cost. But one has to understand the product itself. I mean, you are getting a Mercedes, and you don't want to pay the price of a Toyota for a Mercedes. And it's, first of all, if you talk about the location, it's located centrally in the hub of gentrified London, and it is a beautiful place. The building is beautiful. There are campus the accommodations that are managed for Into. They're right behind. There are many accommodations on that street. You're close to everything. So that has cost implications. So that tuition fee you're seeing actually justifies that. And on top of that, you're getting access to more than 100 plus universities. Once you leave Into, you have access to 100 plus universities where you can then progress onto. So that has implications. The other thing is the care, the personal care that goes into each student to make those student successes. And I saw those Singaporeans, they're coming up with these high grades, but Bangladeshis, let's let's next year we need to be right up there with the Singaporeans in terms of student success. Let's see if we can make that happen. Now, the other thing is, even with the 30%, if somebody does get it, you're talking about only £13,000 in terms of tuition fees. And for scholarships, I know we've personally overseen many of our students who have received the scholarships. So please get in touch with us. We can put in a word for you at the regional team, and if they have scholarships available, a lot of times they do. How do you say, like, honor those requests from us. And of course, in order for that to happen, we need to see if the students are they have good academics, what is their history, what is their story, those things all make up a case for you, and we can help put that case for you. So yeah, I mean, that's that. I mean, obviously you're gonna know that. So you have mentioned one thing very, very interesting, which I liked, which is for entry requirement, you need 4Ds for O-levels. So right after O-levels, you can start. All you need is 4Ds and you're in. The other thing is, and this is very interesting, you don't need to have HSC to progress onto the foundation. So after your first year of college, as long as you have a percentage mark of, I think 70%, you said, I don't remember the slide, but as long as you have that, you can actually go into the foundation program. So that is, a really, really good thing to look out for. Arekta জিনিস হলো, so Charlotte, I'm just going to dive into Bangla also.
Go for it.
So, আরেকটা জিনিস হলো যে ইউকেতে পড়তে যাবার জন্য যদি কেউ ফাউন্ডেশন বা ডিপ্লোমা প্রোগ্রামে যায়, তাহলে সেই ক্ষেত্রে নর্মালি যেটা আইএলটিএস বা নর্মাল আইএলটিএস বা পিয়ারসন টেস্ট অফ ইংলিশ এসব লাগে, কিন্তু যারা ফাউন্ডেশন বা ডিপ্লোমা করতে যায় তাদের জন্য ইউকেভিআই আইএলটিএস অথবা ইউকেভিআই পিয়ারসন টেস্ট অফ ইংলিশ লাগবে. So that is required, but the score requirement is only 4. So right? I mean, for getting into the foundation program.
So for the minimum we can accept is 4. That's for the extended foundation. For the standard program, it would be a 4.5. So it's
right. So 4.5, and the good thing is, as Charlotte said, you can come from 4Ds, or you can have 7 A's in your O-levels. Doesn't matter. What is special about Into is they'll take a maths exam and an English exam once you arrive. And then based on that, they'll put you in classes to reflect your standard, but then you progress onto pretty much the same level as a university going student. আর একটা মজার বিষয় হলো যারা ফাউন্ডেশন করবে তাদের জন্য it's a 1-year program. So if you do, I mean, a lot of people are thinking, because of this pandemic, do they want to do A-levels, or do they just want to go and start their studies? And for them, I want to say, it is really, I think, worth considering to do a foundation instead of A-levels. And I'll qualify this statement. I know it's a controversial thing to say, but I'll qualify this. And the reason is, in Bangladesh, what we see is A-levels is a very stressful time of people's lives. They go to school, come back home, go to another teacher, then another teacher, then another teacher. So they're going to different teachers till 9, 10 p.m. So that means they don't have any personal life. They cannot process all the information they're getting. And what we see is O-level hoyto khub bhalo result, and then A-levels the results really suffer. But when you're doing the foundation, the best thing is, you're going to study in the UK, so you do the foundation. That teaches you how a university would teach you. That gives you the basics of the subject you're going to be studying. You're used to the environment. As a Bangladeshi student, you haven't lived alone. You haven't gone to, so you're getting used to the whole environment, and they take very good care of you. Accommodation, they have their support. So all these things make it, I think, really that supportive environment gets you to that level, so that statistically people who get into the universities directly, as opposed to people who go in through the foundation program, they tend to do better in their academic results because they have already gone through that thing, even though they only spent 1 year instead of the 2 year that an A-level student would take. So that's another reason for many students to do the foundation program. And the other great program that I found, Charlotte, is the International Year One. So, let's say you've done your A-levels, but your results weren't that good. You couldn't get into the university that you thought you wanted to study in. No need to worry. You get into the International Year One program, do well there. It's like a second chance. Do well there. And for your second year, you progress onto the good universities. However, one thing to keep in mind, of course, is that it is only business. I mean, you don't have engineering International Year One. So in that case, but I mean, a lot of people are getting into, and within the business, there are so many different fields that one can get to. Okay, so let's see if I can take some questions. So you've already answered the question about the scholarships, so won't get there. Are there any conversion program available for masters, Charlotte?
So we offer a pre-master's program in business administration. We offer a 9-month program and a 6-month program. And which one I would recommend depends on your academic background, because for if you study a pre-master's and you're applying to a master's degree, of course, universities will look at the pre-master's grades, but depending on which university it is, they will also be looking at your academic background, which is slightly different for foundation and International Year One. For those programs, the pathway program rather than your background is usually more important. So we'd need to understand your academic background. For the 3-term program, I would say that's used by students to normally top up their degree. So maybe you haven't scored a high enough grade that you need to get into your goal university. So you could use the pre-masters to top up. Or we do get some students who actually haven't finished a bachelor's degree and they study some other kinds of post-high school qualifications. Of course, I need to check the level to make sure it's suitable to accept. But that's what I would recommend for the 9-month program. For the 6-month, I would say it's really for students whose grades are maybe only a tiny bit below with the bachelor's degree, or for students who are looking to change subject area. So I have a student this year who came from a really fantastic university in China, but she studied biotechnology or biotechnology engineering. And obviously with the UK master, it's only 1 year. So you have to be ready to hit the ground running. If you've never studied business before, it's probably quite hard. So that was really, this is why that type of program is more suitable.
This is the thing. Like so for example, to answer your question, it is a conversion program. So yes, of course, on the one hand, the reason that pre-masters exists is, let's say you need a GPA of 3.2 to get into a university, and your GPA is 3. So you won't be able to get into that particular university. But through the pre-master's program, you can then progress onto that university, and you'll get the skills required for that. The other big one is if you're coming from a subject, for example, you've studied business and you want to get into something like data analytics or something like that. Then you get into a pre-master's program, they teach you the basics, and then you get into the data. So in those cases, it becomes a conversion program. So very good question there. Another very good question. This is more of a UKVI kind of a question. So I will jump in, Charlotte, after you're done. But it is, what if, we are marketing people, so you can't get us to stop. So what if someone has a year or 2 years of gap after their HSC? Are they eligible for an application to the foundation program?
So for Into London, yes, they are. But of course, we want to understand what you have been doing in that time. So we would, if you hadn't explained that to us yet and you'd applied, we would issue you an offer, but it would be conditional on explaining what you have been doing. And that's for any student from any nationality with a gap in their study. We would want to know what they have been doing.
And Ronak, basically, that was a question that we got from Ronak. And so basically, it is a very good question. As far as visa is concerned, I mean, you have to understand, unexplained gaps are a problem. So when you have, but they're possible. I mean, many students take gap year, they travel, they do internships, they, do other things, and they take a mental gap. I mean, okay, I'm going to use this year to find myself. I don't know. So there are many reasons for having that gap. The important thing is to explain that gap. And we're there to help you articulate that, and to understand how to explain that. But remember, if you have a gap of 6 years where you have done nothing, there's going to be problems with it. You understand, right? I'm not saying, you will be able to get in, but it's not something that is, one has to put an explanation that what happened. I have a student who did have a 6-year gap. But what happened is, after his HSC, he fell ill. He wasn't able to do it, and then he started. Started working for his as an intern in a company, and he has a big portfolio because he was able to show that he worked in so many different things, and he had a world of experience. And then he started his undergrad. So it's possible. Gap থাকলে যে হবে না সেটা না, but gapটা explain করতে হবে. It's not a question really, it's more of a comment. It says that £13,000 is still expensive, and you're right, Fahim. It is expensive. 30%, £13,000 is a very expensive tuition fee for many Bangladeshi students. I just have to say this: there are alternative options. At Maces, we work with 200 universities across UK, USA, Canada, Japan, Malaysia, Australia. So there are alternatives out there, and we can help you find it. But remember, not every foundation program is for every student, right? Yeah. Every student, you have your own story, you have your own history, and where you end up has to reflect not only on your academics, but also your financial background, your affordability, and all of that. So we will help you find that right option for you. Perhaps into London is not the right option for you. Yeah. But we'll find an alternative for you. It's not the end of the world, okay? Another question came from Tata. Do you offer progression scholarship? Like, for example, people who are progressing from foundation to bachelor's.
So because we don't have just one partner university, we wouldn't offer it like, for example, the other centres would, like into Exeter or into Newcastle. They will offer those types of scholarships. But what we do as part of the university placement service is, if you, of course, inform us that you are looking for a scholarship, then we will help you to research which universities meeting the criteria that you have offer scholarships, and we can help you with the application process.
So this is a very good point. Into London has their own university placement service. So when you're a student of Into, you can actually take help from that service. It's free of charge, just like us. And you can you basically give your portfolio, explain to them how much you can afford, your family can afford, and based on that, they'll help you determine which 5 universities to apply. And then through that, perhaps help you identify where there are scholarship opportunities, where there aren't, and all that. And I would say we can do that homework actually before you start your foundation. So come to us. We will help you determine, okay, you can do your foundation at Into, then your undergraduate studies, you have these options where there are scholarships or whatever. But this is something we have to be very careful. You don't want to have a dependence on scholarship. So if you want to go study in UK or anywhere, you have to understand, I'm doing a foundation, how much it's going to cost, and then when I progress, how much that is going to cost. And if you think that, oh, I'm going to do the foundation and then I'm going to get a scholarship or work and pay for it, that might not work out for you. You need to be very careful how you go about it. Please do come to us. We will help you determine that, okay? And we'll help you find those options for you. Again, if you want to apply to Into London, we have had so many years of experience working with Into. We know it like the back of our hand. We have no charges. We don't take any fees from our students. So, you provide your documents, we'll make the application, we will get the offer, and then we'll help you with the visa. So we have, and I'm so proud. I mean, we've been in the off business for 13 years. We have 100% visa success rate. So we are really, really strong in that regard. And again, that also means we don't accept a lot of students who have come to us. We will check your eligibility because we don't take any fees. If we are not convinced you're going to be able to pay for it, or if you are not convinced that you're not going to get the visa, we will probably not be taking your application, okay? So, you know, it's a good way for you to understand your eligibility as well. You can get in touch with us through Facebook. For those of us who have joined through Facebook, you can email us at mail@macesbd.com. You can call us at 017-5566-0012, and we'll be happy to help you in those areas. Now, should I sit for IELTS again after completion of foundation? That's a good question.
It is a good question, and one I get asked a lot. So it really depends on the university that you're progressing to. So as part of your final English exam, you will take the password test. And if the university recognises the password test, then you can use that to meet their English language requirements. But some universities do require students to take specific English tests. So that is, again, something when we were helping you research the universities, we can help you to look at that. And, you know, we can even contact universities on your behalf once you're here in the UK as well. So
you know, I have seen students who have given the password test and got into Queen Mary, Queen's University, Belfast. There are many, many universities where you can get into.
Loads.
And also, if your IELTS score at the time you're entered into, if it was 6.5, for example, or 6, most universities will accept that. So you don't have to give another test. However, if your score was like 4 or 4.5, then, you know, again, through the password test, you can get into those universities. And of course, I mean, if the university, which is very, very few universities, which will not accept that test, you can then take the IELTS. Fairly easy to do. And by that time, you will be ready to do it. We are almost at 43 minutes. So I want to say goodbye. But you know, for those of you who joined, thank you so much. Charlotte, you know, you've given your time here, and you know, we're really so happy to work with you, and our students have had a great time studying and changing their life at INTU. So thank you once again for that. And you know, this is going to be goodbye, but for now. But you know, hopefully, we'll have a lot of students who will be applying to this program. Thank you once again for those who joined.
Thank you.